get right to it, and I'm really pleased to introduce Mr. Jonathan Demme and Mr. Neil Young.
Tell me about how you approach documentary storytelling. Do you start with a script? Do you start shooting and see what you get?
Sometimes the approach can be when you're really fortunate that there's the story is in there. Like, for example, a couple of years ago, I made a documentary which was the story of Jimmy Carter going on the road to promote his book, Palestine, Peace, Not Apartheid. So that was gonna have its story. He's gonna start the tour and end the tour. He's gonna, you know that things are gonna come up and what have you. So that was good. But I like the kind where, there's just someone that's just so very interesting, and you feel, in my case, someone that inspires me and I feel has something to say. I'm happy to just, I believe that you won't be wasting a day or two or five over time to show up at a place or with a person and shoot for a while, and then see if your interest is sustained. I did a portrait of a cousin of mine years ago, and it worked that way. We didn't know what. It was my first documentary, really, and I didn't even know what I was doing, except I went to where he worked and filmed him, and it was quite interesting. And then there's these other people, and a cast of characters starts to evolve. And if you like these people, if they capture your imagination, you care what's going to happen next, and you go back. I just finished a documentary this year called "I'm Carolyn Parker: The Good, the Mad, and the Beautiful," and that was a portrait I shot over 6 years of an amazing woman in New Orleans whose house had been flooded. And I met her, when her house was a wreck. And it's like, this place, she's never going to get back in this place, but she was a fabulous person. And I kept, I went back again and again and again. And finally, 5.5 years later, there's a scene of her in her beautiful house. So I think, trust for me, it's just like, Majora Carter is someone who I know, a lot of you know who she is, and I've been talking to her a lot lately. I just want to start showing up in her life and filming what's going on with her, because I know that a Majora Carter portrait film would be amazing.
So what happens if you get stuck? Do you ever get stuck in the middle there?
There's different ways of getting stuck. I was doing another portrait film of a Haitian radio journalist named Jean-Dominique, and because I thought he was such a fascinating character, and he agreed kind of reluctantly to let me film him, and I filmed him over the course of about a year and a half. And after about a year and a half, and we were getting great footage because this guy's amazing, he said, "You know what? I'm fed up with this. Everywhere I turn, there's one of your little cameras up my ass. Let's stop this. It's threatening our friendship." So that went on the shelf. I didn't even care. It had been great filming him, great to be in that world. I learned a lot about Haiti and all kinds of things while doing it. Then he was shot and killed 5 years later. So now we have the footage of Jean-Dominique talking, and we resume filming now with his wife, his widow, Michelle Montas, and seeing her bring the radio station that he in the beginning was trying to rebuild after the military had ruined it. Now we see Michelle go back on the air. So it's and then sometimes I'm sure there's stuff that you just film, like we've been shooting all this Occupy Wall Street stuff, demonstrations and general assemblies and drum circles and all this stuff going on down there. And at a certain point, I know we'll string 90 minutes of it together, because it will be an interesting record. I don't know if it'll ever get seen anywhere. I think part of making documentaries is just, you do it because this material is worth recording, and you hope it will become available somehow or other someday.
Neil Young, Heart of Gold, which is one of my favorite just musical films, really to me felt a lot like The Last Waltz. In terms of the visual and the setting and putting it into a place more than just a concert hall. And I was just wondering if there's any thought was given to that or not. And then secondly, because I've wanted to ask this since I was 7 years old, and I have the opportunity, so I'm going to. Neil, do you remember Jane Clark from Calvin High School?
Jane Clark?
Jane Clark. Blonde, glasses. This might be a case of me going back to my mother and going, "You didn't know him as well as you said you did."
Maybe. I wish I could go back there and see Jane. But
Then she says hello.
good. Great. That's good. Well, hi, Jane. And when we showed this film in Toronto at the Toronto Film Festival, remember that girl who got up in the audience?
Yes, indeed.
She says, "Hi, Neil. I'm Mary Ellen Blanche from grade 4. Remember?" And I did remember. Yeah. That was good.
I bet if Jane was here and you had the visual, it could really
probably would have
stimulate a lot
snapped right
of-
back. But Mary Ellen, I went to a fair, and I was throwing the ball to try to get through the hoop, and I, miraculously for some reason, I won. I never win, and so I got a prize, and it was like this dog collar that had like these beautiful like studs on it, jewel kind of studs. So I took this to Mary Ellen Blanche's house and was going to give it to her, but her mother, she wasn't there. She was at some class doing something. So I gave it to her mother.
Ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah. So it didn't work. The
Yeah.
whole thing was a failure. But at grade 4, at least I was trying.
That's
I was trying. So Mary Ellen Blanche, she rang my bell there.
Yeah.
That's it.
The reference to Last Waltz just is that, The Last Waltz, of course, is a very elegantly, very smartly, cinematically addressed performance film. And, we wanted to take not because of Last Waltz, we just wanted to take an elegant approach to this. And we wanted to, that sense of place in the Ryman Auditorium, we had to heroicize that location. We also had to heroicize in like the minute and a half you have while the credits are going, Nashville. So we tried to do that. We tried to work our way to the Ryman. Even going by Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, we wanted to heroicize because the kind of heroicization that comes from love, deep love. Hank Williams and God bless him, they had that gigantic photograph of him up in the second floor over Tootsie's. So we wanted to share that experience. That's always the goal with the performance films or maybe any film. You want to share the experience of this narrative, with the people that see it as best you can. And for us, for the filming component on Neil Young Heart of Gold, how do we come up with a visual vehicle for all that matters to him in this world? So that's what the goal is. That's what the mission is always, always, always.
Great, right here.
Jonathan and Neil, I know that when you got to the point of your second film together, Jonathan kept saying, we're going to do 3 films. And now we have the third film. The obvious question is, what does the future hold in terms of continuing to let this thing blossom and grow? That's the first question. The second question is, we read about this film that you had worked on for some time, and it was almost finished, called Link Bolt. And so I'm really curious about that and anything else you're doing as a director. So,
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, I think as far as us doing 3 films together, the only thing I can think of now is 4-wheel drive. Obviously, 3-wheel drive is not good enough.
Right.
So, 4-wheel drive, I think we need to do that. Get a lot of traction.
Yeah, man.
So, especially here at Slamdance. So yeah, that might happen. We obviously enjoy what we do, so we'll just wait and see. Follow the guidelines of wait and see what happens. Don't be afraid to fail. If something happens, we'll grab it. Obviously, something might happen. And as far as the film about my car goes, I'm still working on it. We're in our 5th year of production now. You have to stay with these things. And if you stay with them long enough, things happen. Things really happen. A lot of events have piled up. There's a lot. It turned out starting to be a story about one thing, and the goal has always been constant to try to create something that will make it so that you can get clean transportation. That's the goal. So that goal has not been achieved, but it seems to be in sight now. And the pathway to it has been full of many, many setbacks, which of course are all great for movie making. So the more things that go wrong, the better movie you make. And the more opportunity you have to work with things. And the longer you stay with it, the more content you have to choose from to tell your story. And also, great human interest things happen. Relationships develop that you didn't even know you were shooting when you started. You don't even realize what you're doing when you're making some of these pictures, because you just got to film things, and then later things happen that make stuff that you didn't think mattered really important. You start going back and looking for shots of, one of the cameramen, looking for that because something happens. And that becomes very important, that personality in the making of the film becomes a film about making the film. And people in the film and the human relationships based on that. Why are we doing this? And then what the film was about becomes just this thread that the real film hangs off of. And it's amazing how long it keeps going on if you just stay with it. And yet it will take you to a conclusion. Some conclusions take a long time. So I love the process. 5 years so far. And hopefully we'll have that film out in the fall.
On behalf of everybody at Slamdance, and filmmakers all over the world, really, I really want to thank you guys for coming to Slamdance.